Hi guys! So I know I posted a video of me reading The Rough-Faced Girl, and if you remember when we were back in school, we read Cinderella and we read Adelita. So I have one more to read, Cinderella from a different culture. And just so you guys know, I am gonna read these two as well and post them just in case anybody wants to hear those stories again. But I wanted to do this one first because we have not heard it yet. So this one is Cendrillon, and it's a Caribbean Cinderella. So we have the Algonquin Cinderella, Cinderella from France, and Mexican Cinderella. So remember, we're learning about different cultures and what makes a culture different from one another. The way they dress, the food they eat, the language they speak, maybe the religion that they believe in. There's all different things that make up a culture. And we read 3 very different ones so far. So this is the 4th one that we're going to be looking at. So it was written by Robert D. Sansucci and illustrated by Brian Pinkney. You may think you know the story I am going to tell you, but you have not heard it for true. I was there, so I will tell you the truth of it here, now. I wonder who she is. Look how pretty. That's where I wish I was right now. I live on a green island in the so blue Mer des Antilles, the Caribbean Sea. Long ago, when I was a child, my family was poor. When my mother died, she left me only one thing, a wand of mahogany. Mahogany is a type of wood. 3 taps will change one thing into another, my mother had whispered, but only for a short time, and the magic must be used to help someone you love. Of what use was this to an orphan like me, who every day struggled to find shelter and fill her belly? I could not use the wand. I had no one to love and no one who loved me. When I grew up, I worked as a blanchisseuse, a washerwoman, scrubbing other people's sheets and shirts at the riverside, drying them in the sun. So as you can see, there's words from the language that they speak. So obviously I'm not going to be able to say them as perfectly as someone from the Caribbean would, but I'm going to try my best. One woman I worked for was kind. I often nursed her, for she was always sickly, poor creature. In thanks, she made me the nanin, godmother of her baby girl, Cendrillon. When I held that baby in my arms on her christening day, I felt such love, and I saw love returned from her sweet brown eyes. Alas, Cendrillon's mama died soon after this. Then her papa, Monsieur, married again. Madame Prosperine was a cold woman and puffed up proud because her grandfather had come from France. When a new daughter, Vitaline, was born, Madame gave a christening party for her rich friends. What a feast it was! Madame and the other fine ladies were dressed in satin and velvet, all the colors of the rainbow. They laughed at my worn white skirts and peasant way of speaking. Pretty Cendrillon came and kissed me. Bonjour, Nanin. She gave me a cup of punch. Her hands were blistered and red. Poor little child, I cried. What have you done to yourself? She shrugged. My father's wife works me like a serving girl. And Monsieur allows this? He fears me, madame, but I am strong. The work hurts my hands, but not my heart. Someday I will find a way to help. Even as I spoke to them, my words sounded hollow. What could I, a poor washerwoman, do for my dearest? When she was older, Cendrillon would come to the river each morning to do her family's laundry. Her sweet bonjour was music. Her smile was sunshine, even when the clouds hid in the sun. We knelt beside the other washwomen and talked and sang and laughed as we scrubbed the clothes. Cendrillon seemed so happy. I wished that I could always see her so. Nothing was easy for her at home. Madame and the spoiled Vitaline. Cendrillon often had only a handful of Minoic flour and tail ends of codfish. All day she worked. At night, she slept on a hard straw pallet. Then one day, she came sad-faced to the river. No singing or joking would make her smile. I asked, "What troubles you, my child?" "There is a ball tonight, but I am not to go," she said, looking so miserable. My heart nearly snapped in two. Vitaline and Mama will go, but Mama says I'm lazy. "Does it mean so much to you, this ball?" "Oh, yes, Nanan," she cried. "It is a birthday fete for Paul, Monsieur Thibault's son. He is so handsome and well-spoken. He is like a prince, yet he is kind." "Do not cry, dear one," I said, hugging her. "Tonight you will go to the ball. For true?" "Upon my soul, I promise this," I said, though I was fearful of risking so much when I had no plan. But her smile lightened my heart. As she gathered up her laundry, I heard her singing. So I think Cendrillon was starting to feel a little bit better if she started singing again. Long after she left, I sat watching the river. How am I to keep my promise, I asked myself. When I could think of no answer, I prayed to Bon Dieu, the good God, and he answered because I began to think what I must do. When it was dark when I reached home, took my mother's wand from the shelf and hurried to my sweet Cendrillon. See, there she is with her wand going to Cendrillon's house. What a hubble-bubble at the house. Cendrillon's papa stood on the porch holding his gold watch while the coachman waited beside the family carriage. "We are late," Monsieur said, as if the fault belonged to me. Inside, Madame and Vitaline were shouting, "Cendrillon, find my shoulder scarf. Cendrillon, comb my hair." I helped arrange Madame's gown while Cendrillon combed Vitaline's hair. Finally, they were off. Good riddance. So here's Cendrillon and her godmother helping her stepmom and stepsister. Upon the instant, I told Cendrillon, "Now you will go to the ball." "But I have no carriage," she protested. "I have no gown." "Go into the garden and pick a fruit upon," I said. The child looked at me as if she thought, "My poor Nananan has gone mad." But she found a big, round breadfruit. I tapped it 3 times, toot, 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 with my wand, and it became a gilded coach. So far, so good. Cendrillon gasped, but I told her, "Do not waste your breath on questions. We still have much to do." Toot, toot, toot. 6 horses in a cage. 6 agotis in a cage became 6 splendid carriage horses. Toot, toot, toot. 5 brown field lizards became 5 tall footmen. Toot, toot, toot. A plump manicou was changed into a coachman. This is reminding me a lot of another Cinderella that we read. Then I tapped Cendrillon. Her poor calico dress was changed into a trailing gown of sky blue velvet. Upon her head sat a turban just as blue, pinned with a tremblant, a pin of gold. She had a silk shoulder scarf of pale rose, rings in her ears, bracelets, and a necklace of 4 strands of gold beads, bigger than peas. Upon her feet were elegant pink slippers embroidered with roses. It was enough to hurt my eyes to even look at my darling. Finally, I turned my washerwoman's shift into a fine red dress. I would chaperone Cendrillon, as suited a proper young lady. Away we went, over the bridge, through the town, along the shore, to the grand mansion of Monsieur Thibault. Just before we stepped down from our carriage, I warned Cendrillon, the magic only lasts for a short time. We must leave before the midnight bell is rung. Yes, Nanan, she promised. What a grand entrance Cendrillon made. All eyes turned toward her, and she could not turn away. I heard whispers all around. Who is that pretty girl? Look how fine her clothes are. Did she come from France? Even Cendrillon's stepmother and sister did not recognize the two of us, though they peered crossly at us. Look at them. Look at their faces looking. Come here. Come here. Then Paul, his eyes blazing with love fire, asked her to dance, and he refused to dance with any other. I know. I watched as I ate. Oh, what fine food I helped myself to as I watched the handsome couple, even chocolate sherbet. Cendrillon was so happy, and I was happy seeing her so, that we forgot to mark the time. Suddenly, I heard distant bells strike the first chime of midnight. Astonishing all with my rudeness, I grabbed Cendrillon's hand and cried, "It's nearly midnight, we must go." For a moment, I feared that she would not obey. Then she turned and we ran toward the door. Paul cried, "Wait, I do not even know your name." He ran after us, but guests and servants, confused by such running and shouting, blocked his way. As it was, we barely escaped to our carriage because Cendrillon stumbled on the stair. She had to leave behind one embroidered slipper. Off we sped into the night as I counted the chimes. And the moment I heard the 12th stroke, we found ourselves in the dusty road beside a smashed breadfruit. Around us, a goddess and lizards and a fat manitou scurried into the brush. We walked home like two ragged washerwomen. Our fine clothes were gone, all except Cendrillon's one pink slipper. If you can hear Rocco barking, he just wants to say hi to everyone. She took it off, saying, "I will keep this to remind me of this wonderful night and a happiness that I will never know again." "But," I said, "I will help you visit Paul again." She shook her head. "I see now that it was not Cendrillon he fell in love with," she said. "He was under the spell of your wand. And when my magic goes, the love too will fade from his eyes." "Alas," I said, "my plans have come to nothing. I cannot give you the gift of love that would change your life for true." "Dear godmother," she said, kissing my cheek, "you gave me this night. It is enough." Come here. Come here. I did not see Cendrillon at the river the next day. When I called the house, I found she was in my bed. Madame and Vitaline said she was being lazy, but I saw that she was sick with a broken heart. I stroked her brow for a good long time until I heard a great commotion. Ooh, what's happening down here? When I looked for the cause, I found that Paul had arrived. He was followed by a footman carrying Cendrillon's lost pink slipper on a satin pillow. To Madame and Vitaline, he explained, "I am searching for the lovely stranger who was at the fete last night. This is her slipper. I am asking all unmarried women on the island to try it on. I will wed the one whose foot it fits." From the doorway, I heard Madame say, "My pretty daughter is the only unmarried girl in this house." Then Vitaline and her mama tried to force the girl's big foot with toes like sausages into the slipper. Such grunting and groaning you never even heard before. So eager they were, I feared that they would destroy the slipper. If you cut off those big toes, I called out, it would be a fine fit. Madame screeched, "Go away, old woman." And I did. Straight back to Cendrillon's room I marched. "Now, child, if you love me," I charged her, "do this one thing for me. Go out into the hall." She drew a shawl around her cotton shift. Barefoot, she went into the hall, where panting Madame and sobbing Vitaline had given up the battle of the slipper. But just as Paul was turning to go, I tapped Cendrillon, toot, 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 with my wand. To the astonishment of all, she appeared as she had at the ball. "No, godmother dear," she said, "no more spells." With a sigh, I touched her again, and she was as before, in her shift and shawl. Without hesitation, Paul knelt before her. He gently placed the slipper on her foot. Then he said, "You are as beautiful this minute as you were last night." And everyone in the room could see the true love in his eyes. Cendrillon and Paul were married soon after this. Even the King and Queen of France had never heard of such a wedding. The guests ate and danced and sang, and they ate again for 3 days. I know because I was there. I danced the guoka, and ate 9 helpings of chocolate sherbet, and came away only to tell you this tale. So who does she remind you of from the other Cinderella stories that we read? And then on the back of this book, which I can show you once we get back to school, it has all of the French Creole words, and it gives you all their meanings. It's like a glossary for the words. All right, so that was Cendrillon. So now we have officially heard all 4 Cinderellas. And like I said, I will read these 2 and post them as well, just in case anybody wants to go back and hear those. All right, thanks guys.